Hey, Decluttering Club. Today we're going to talk about why you must listen to your feelings when decluttering. I am totally serious about this. This is a big deal, and we are going to dig into this today. Before I get started, my name is Sarah Mueller. I am the founder of the Decluttering School and the Decluttering Club, and I am your decluttering coach. So if you need help with decluttering, I am your person, all right? And we have so much help available to you. And so today, this is what we're going to talk about. And there is BB. Hi, BB. How are you? So many times. And how often has this happened to you, right? You've said, I really need to clean out that closet. I really should do something about the laundry room or the garage or the basement. But, oh, I just can't handle it. I just cannot bear it. I can't bring myself to do it. Maybe you are super anxious about it. Maybe you are worried about being too sad, right? Maybe you're like, I'm gonna fall apart if I open that box, right? From my mother, from my father, from my husband, whoever it is, right? Maybe it's grief, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's just nostalgia. You're like, I don't know, I don't have time to go down that rabbit trail, right? All of these feelings come up when we think about decluttering. Right? And this is so fascinating, right? Because we think, we have people that post on our page all the time. They're like, just throw it out. Come on, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it is not that easy, right? You can't just throw these things out. It doesn't work that way, right? At least not for the things that tear at your heartstrings, that cause emotions. Like some of it, of course. You just don't know it's there. It's not a big deal. You're like, oh, what is this? I don't like this thing. It goes out the door. No problem, right? But for most of the stuff, or even just considering tackling the stuff, our feelings are what get in the way, okay? And our gut response, right? Our knee-jerk response to when big feelings come up is to run away, right? I don't know about you guys, but this is what I tend to try to do, right? I'm like, I don't want to feel this way right now. This is not fun. No, thank you. I'm going to go do something else, right? I do not care to feel sad or anxious or depressed or judgmental towards myself, all that stuff, right? So no, thank you. I'm going to go do something else. And sometimes this looks like I'm going to go do something else that is important, right? Maybe it is, I don't know. Maybe you're dreading your sewing room. So you're like, okay, fine. You make a deal with yourself. Like, you're like, okay, we're not going to deal with the sewing room, even though we decided we would, but we're not going to do that. But we're going to go work in the garage, right? So at least I get bonus points for that. At least I get some points for that. But in reality, that is still procrastination. Even though it may be a useful thing that you have decided to replace that other thing with, it's still procrastination. My coach, Brooke Castillo, she calls this buffering, right? Buffering is when we do something to avoid feeling an emotion. And that might look like going and cleaning out another space in our house, or it might look like eating, or watching Netflix, or coming on Facebook, or even watching Decluttering Club videos, right? Anything that you do in order to avoid feeling an emotion is called buffering. And buffering always comes back to haunt us. Right? Buffering is always just an escape. Right? Now, so the thing about all these feelings is we think we're avoiding them. Right? We think, okay, I'm just going to go not think about that room. I'm going to keep the door closed, and I'm going to go either I'm going to go do something useful, or I'm just going to go drown my sorrows. But it doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. It is not. We're not successful, right? Because that room is still there. Or we're still thinking about it. It's still there in our heads, or we walk by it, or we see that box on the ground and we're like, oh yeah, right? So it just perpetuates. It's still there in the background. Sometimes it's like at a lower level, right? So if you were to go into that room that is causing anxiety or overwhelm or frustration, you would go in there and then, whoa, the anxiety goes up to here, right? Whereas if you don't go in, you keep the door closed, it's down here, right? But it's still here. Right? It has not. You have not eliminated it, right? And so, what I want to offer to you is a couple things. Okay. First of all, these are all feelings, right? Whatever feeling you have, overwhelm, sadness, grief, anxiety, depression, anger, whatever it is. Okay, these are all feelings. They are all human emotions, and they are useful. Okay, they are useful and they are normal. It is normal for human beings to experience sadness or frustration, right? These are normal things. So when we try to avoid them, right, because they feel uncomfortable, right? Of course they do. But when we try to avoid them, we're like, I just don't want to be a human being today. Like, no, thank you. And like I said, it doesn't work. But I just want to offer you first and foremost that it is totally, totally normal to have these feelings, right? There's nothing wrong with you if you're having feelings, right? Welcome to being a human. Just like happiness and joy and love and all of these other things, hope, those are also human emotions, right? And if we want to experience the good ones, happiness, joy, love, we also need to be willing to experience the bad ones, right? We don't get the good ones without the bad ones, right? If nothing bad ever happened in your life, you wouldn't really know what love is like, right? And I believe that, in fact, it is because we do experience those negative emotions that the good ones, the positive emotions, are that much more meaningful to us, right? They're that much more vibrant and fulfilling, because we also know what it's like to not feel that way, right? We need the contrast. You need the contrast, and if you don't have it, then everything is the same, and you have no, you can't have the ups without the downs. Right? And so I really, really want you to just for a minute be willing to consider that maybe I could allow myself to be sad for a little while. Maybe I could sit with the feeling of frustration or guilt, right? What does guilt feel like? Right? Just maybe I could try it, okay? The next thing I want to tell you about emotions is that we think they're terrible, right? And literally, and I'm not exaggerating, right? If you have an intense negative emotion, you will probably try to do anything to escape it, right? To get away from it. You're like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta escape out of my body, right? And that's why we do all this buffering. But when you think about it, feelings, emotions are just a vibration in our bodies, right? Whatever it is, right? It's gonna have a certain sensation in your body, right? So maybe it is like a little bit of a buzzing, right? Like if I feel anxious, I feel like a little buzzy, right? Maybe you feel a little nauseous. Maybe you feel like a little lightheaded, right? They're all feelings, but there's no actual danger involved. And this is the crazy thing, right? Your brain is going to be on high alert and telling you, like, it is time to get out of here. Either it's fight or flight, right? Either it's time to get out of here and we got to go find somewhere else to be because this emotion feels like we're going to die, or you might freeze, right, into paralysis, right? Because it feels like danger, right? Your primitive brain doesn't know the difference between you, like being chased by a wild animal and you deciding to go into that scary room. It's the same thing. Your brain is like, it's all danger and I don't want to do any of it, right? We got to get away from danger. So, but these are just vibrations in our body, okay? So we can sit with them, right? And the crazy thing is, and we have a whole training about this, by the way. If you are in the membership, I really want to make sure that you have watched this training. It's called Decluttering with Big Emotions, and it is a game changer. So make sure, if you haven't gone through that, there's a couple worksheets with it and there's a video, make sure you go through that. But I'm just going to give you like kind of the cliff notes here, okay? You can sit with an emotion, right? Let's pick overwhelm. Right? Is overwhelm an emotion? Maybe. I guess you could debate that, but let's just say you're feeling super overwhelmed right now. So the idea is just to sit with it, okay? We're not going to resist it. We're not going to run away from it. We're just going to sit with it. We're going to notice it. And I think about, why am I feeling overwhelmed right now? What are the reasons, right? And your brain is going to tell you all kinds of things, right? And just want you to sit with it and just experience it. Okay, just be like, wow, overwhelm feels like I get sweaty and I feel nauseous, or I feel like I want to run away, or maybe you get itchy, or whatever it is, right? just sit with those feelings and get into your body and just really notice the physical sensations, okay? The thing about emotions is that if you are willing to feel them and experience them, they will kind of dissipate after a while. And it kind of depends on how strong the emotion is and how attached you are to it, how much practice you've had, but it can go away in a very short amount of time, right? As little as like 90 seconds, right? And then you will feel lighter, you will feel calm, and it'll sort of be like, wow, you feel like this sense of relief. If you are willing to sit with it, this is the craziest thing, right? You think, I've been avoiding feeling sad for, a year, and here all I had to do was sit with it for a little while, and then it kind of like quieted down, right? And maybe then it comes back, right? But then you can do it again, and then it relaxes, and then, it may come back over and over again, but you can just know that there's no actual danger here, and my job is to just process it, right? And when we process through these things, then they can resolve over time. And then we can let them go. But when we do not process them, when they remain unprocessed over time, they can stick around for years, right? This is why, maybe you haven't gotten over something that happened 10 years ago, right? And you are still feeling that emotion. It's because you haven't processed it. And so your body is still hanging on to it. It's like, I don't know what to do with it. I can't let go of it. Kind of like this stuff. Isn't that crazy? Our emotions need to be processed just like our things do. Okay, so again, emotions, totally normal. Okay, that's the first part. Second thing is that you can learn to sit with your emotions. Okay, now the third thing is, I think we feel like, I don't like to feel this way. But what I want to offer to you is that maybe your emotions, maybe your feelings have something to tell you. Maybe there's some message there that you are not wanting to hear, right? And maybe you can kind of ask your emotions, ask your brain, like, what is the message here? What do I need to hear? What have I not been willing to listen to? Because your brain is going to offer these things up to you. Now, sometimes brains are just like, danger, danger, danger. And we just need to go, okay, I hear you. Yes, you think we're in danger here, but we're not. And it's totally fine, and everything's going to be great. Okay, that may happen sometimes, but other times, your brain is like, you really need to deal with this. You really need to deal with that room. You really need to deal with that room, right? Or you really need to get those papers under control, right? Your brain doesn't want you to deal with the papers because that is change and that feels scary. But also, your brain knows there's probably something important in there. So you've got like these two things going on, right? Your brain is like, deal with the papers, but also don't deal with the papers, right? So it's like confused. So your job is to listen and go, okay, what do I really need to be paying attention to here? What is the message? Is there something that I really need to hear? And what is that? Okay, from a place of curiosity, right? This is really important, not from a place of judgment. I don't want you to be all, I should have done this. I really have to do this. This is, this is a nightmare and I have to clean it up. No, do not use that as motivation, right? What you want to do is from a place of curiosity. What is the message that maybe I could get from this emotion? What could be useful to me here? What's a lesson that maybe I need to learn how to do something hard? Maybe I do need to be willing to be sad and open that box, right? What is the message here? And this is so fascinating when we think about it that way. Right? And again, it feels terrible. It really does. And I get it. And I am there with you. I have done a lot of work on learning how to process my own emotions and not run away from them. Because I discovered you can't actually run away from them. Right? So just practice. Right? See how it goes and see what is that message. Is there a message for me? Right? And if the message is, like full of judgment and blame, then that's just your primitive brain overreacting. Right? But if the message is, hey, I really want to do this, this is actually really important to me, but also it's hard, okay, then you can take that message, right? Or maybe the message is, like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you really sure? Because if we're going to do this, this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a lot of work. So I just want to, maybe your brain just wants to know if you're all in, right? And then you can decide, am I all in on this or not? Maybe the answer is no. then if the answer is no, then just let it go and be like, nope, we're not doing that. But if the answer is yes, then you got to double down on your commitment. You got to remind your brain, calm your brain down, be like, hey, there's no danger. There, this scary room is actually totally fine. It's just full of boxes, and I can totally tackle it. I have all the tools I need. I have all the support I need. I know where to get help if I need it. All right, and that can make all the difference. Okay, I want to hear your questions on this. Do you all have questions for me? Drop them in the comments, and I'm going to check up on your comments. Okay, Patricia's asking, is this recorded? Yes, this is recorded, Patricia. You can find it here on the Decluttering Hub page. See a lot of you logging in here without ups and downs. We have a straight line. Yes, right? Absolutely. That's why I have so many piles. Ruth Ann says, this hit me the other night when I found my son's doctor and prescription receipts from 1991. Oh my goodness, right? So fun. So fun when you find those things. That's a trip down memory lane. Okay, yeah, do you all have questions? Drop those in the chat. I would love to hear some of your thoughts on this. Are you avoiding emotions? Which ones, right? Which ones in particular? I find that we kind of, I believe we kind of have our favorites, right? We have our favorites. So, for me, it used to be anxiety. Like I used to be sort of the go-to, but I don't know, somehow that's kind of, that's disappeared. Maybe because I just don't care what anybody thinks about me anymore. So I don't worry about that one anymore. So now my chosen anxiety is or my chosen emotion, negative emotion, is more like overwhelm. So that's the one I go to. Other people might be guilt, right? You might be really good at practicing feeling guilty, but also not at experiencing it, kind of avoiding it, right? Like our brains will have favorites that they like to go to, which makes it super fun, right? It really does. But again, this is all just part of being a human being, okay? It really is. And I have found when we are, again, willing to experience these things, then life is amazing. Right? When you are willing to experience any emotion, then you have the ability to accomplish anything you want. Absolutely anything, right? Something that could seem, let's say, completely impossible right now. Maybe you want to clear out the storage unit, right? And you've had it for a decade, and you have all kinds of feelings about it, right? You think, oh my goodness, I would love to do that, but I got so much baggage, so much emotional baggage about that storage unit that I don't know. Well, if you are willing to feel all of those feelings and feel them all the way through, you can deal with that storage unit, right? That is the path to doing hard things. That is the path to accomplishing your goal, is to just be willing to feel any feeling. Embarrassment, bring it on. How about some shame? Fantastic, right? Just when you can feel all those feelings, then nothing can stop you. It is the craziest thing. And I don't think we talk about this nearly often enough, right? We're so busy reacting to our feelings instead of feeling them. We're either reacting or avoiding them, that we don't know how to handle them. We don't know how to be with them. And I believe this is something that everybody needs to learn, because it's so powerful. All right, Jenny said, when we moved, I had to make myself drive on the freeways. I was so anxious. The more I do it, the easier it gets. Yes, right? So like you could tell yourself, oh, it's totally fine. It's not a big deal. It's just the freeway, or you could just avoid the freeways, right? Or you could be like, yep, I do not like this. I'm going to prepare myself, and I'm going to sit with that, and I'm just going to like be with that. Right? And that will give you freedom, right? Because if you don't, now you can't drive on the freeway, or now you have to have someone else to do the driving. So, but if you just learn how to experience that anxiousness, right? And hopefully it will dissolve and kind of like fade away for you. Now you have that freedom again. So good. Okay, let's see. Tammy says, overwhelmed is definitely the #1 feeling I have on a daily basis, and anxiety is second. Yes. Okay. On overwhelm, any tips? So a couple things. We are running a free training call next week, and it goes along with our course. I have a new free course that we have just launched. It's called the Get Unstuck mini course, right? And we're running a call in association with that next week on Wednesday. So I'm going to drop the Get the link for that. I'll drop the link afterwards. I don't want to go find it now, but if you come on that call, we can talk about that, because overwhelm is one of the thoughts that is going to, or is one of the emotions that will leave you feeling stuck, right? And usually there's a thought behind the overwhelm, right? Why are you feeling overwhelmed? What is that particular thought? Is it, maybe it's, I have to get everything done by Friday, or is it, I'll never get this done? Or is it, this is just too much for me? Or is it, I tried this before and I, didn't work, so why bother, right? All of those are different thoughts. And so you want to identify what thought is causing you to feel overwhelmed. And then in the Get Unstuck mini course, I walk you through what you can do about that thought and the feeling and how you can replace it, all right? And then how you can get out of that cycle. Let's see. Daisy says, being a caregiver for an elderly has changed my life tremendously. Joining this group has helped so much. Oh, I love it. Yes, we love to have you, Daisy. You are doing some really, really challenging work, for sure, for sure. Too much stuff. Okay, too much stuff, Sharon says. Yeah, so what you want to do is, well, first you're going to sit with it. You're going to be like, okay, what's overwhelm feel like, right? Describe it in your body. Notice it, right? Just be with it, right? And then what you can do is you can get specific, right? I mean, are you trying to declutter your whole house all at once, right? That's not even a thing, right? We look at the whole house and we say, there's too much stuff here, but that doesn't give us anywhere to go, right? That doesn't help us out. That's not a plan. It's just like a sentence, right? It's just like, we're done here, right? There's nothing we can do about it, right? So you want to say, what can I do? What could I do in 10 minutes? And you all know we were really big on the 10-minute sessions around here, right? What can I do in 10 minutes, right? Okay, well, we're not going to get through the whole house, this week or this month. Okay, all right, no problem, no big deal, right? And, right, what if we kept going? What if we did 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes every day? Maybe we find a time for an hour. You know what? Before you know it, you will have less stuff, right? That is the only way. It's like we say, I have too much stuff, and then I feel overwhelmed, and then I give up. So I still have too much stuff, right? We don't get to the point where we have less stuff if we do nothing, right? That's like the opposite. Then we'll have more stuff, because more stuff is going to come in the door, right? So we're not going to get there any quicker if we quit, right? But again, you have to have the tools to know what to do, because if you're in that state of overwhelm, then you're going to be stuck. Let's see. Lynn says, I avoid things because of guilt, which then manifests into anxiety and overwhelm. Yeah. I would sit with the guilt. I would be like, okay, this is guilt, and why am I feeling guilt? Why? What is the reason, right? Again, not from judgment or blame, but from curiosity, right? And your brain will give you the craziest stuff, right? Your brain will be like, you should have done this and this and this and this. And your job is to say, really? Is that actually true? Because I don't think so. Actually, I don't think so at all, right? This is just a story that your brain is telling because it's trying to keep you safe, right? That's what our brains do. Nothing has gone wrong, but we don't have to believe the thoughts that the brain is offering up to us. Sonia says, I feel like I'm getting rid of the past. Yeah. Well, how could that be true a little way? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But maybe you decide, I'm letting these things go. And yes, they were part of the past, right? So that could be sad, right? But what are you gaining, right? Letting this go to make room for that, right? You could go there too. Let's see. Judy says, my mom died last July after living with us for 10 years. My husband, semi-retired, and is using her desk and her room. Going through all her things feels like I'm erasing her. Yeah, and that's very sad, right? That feeling, that thought is very sad. Yeah. What if I told you that you can't erase her? Like that's not a thing. You cannot erase her. She will always be with you as long as you have her in your heart, right? Like you don't need her things. And I know things help, right? We see the thing and then we remember the person, right? But we can also have a relationship with that person, right, in our thoughts without the things, right? And this is a part of the grieving process, right? Sometimes we really don't want to let go, right? And we've had to let go of the person's body. And so we hang on to the things. We're like, well, at least I have the things. At least I have, whatever it is, right? Whereas we don't need, let's say somebody that you love that's living and they're on the other side of the country, right? Do you need their things to think about them and have real beautiful, lovely thoughts about that person? Probably not, right? Like, you don't need to hang on to their stuff because you can think about them. You have lovely thoughts about them. You can do the same thing with people who have passed on, right? And this is a beautiful thing. And so I want to offer that to you, right? You have that available to you at any time, no matter where you are. You could be at home, you could be at the store, you could be driving, any place. It is always available to you, right? So that will be something to practice as well. Okay, BB says, sometimes I'll be all gung-ho, set my timer, and I freeze up. Overwhelm and anxiety hits, and I just stand there looking around for 10 minutes. Yeah. You know what? And so then I would spend a little time say, wow, anxiety, hello, okay, here we are, right? What's going on, brain? Why are we feeling this way, right? Maybe you need to process a little bit. Maybe you need to just kind of talk yourself through it. Be like, hey, actually, nothing has gone wrong here. There's no danger. This is just a habit, right? This is just a pattern, and everything is fine, and we can get going, right? Okay, Janie said, oh, this is a good question. What if you can't identify the emotion you are feeling? This is really common if you're like numb, right? If you are not in touch with your feelings, if you've spent a lot of time pushing them away, right, then it may be hard to identify them. You can look up like a list of feelings, like online. You can just like literally Google, list of emotions, list of feelings, and be like, let me see if any of these seem to fit, right? Like, am I feeling sad right now? No, I don't think so. How about overwhelm? How about frustration, right? You can kind of try different ones on and kind of see which one fits. But if you haven't spent any time, like intentionally listening for the feelings and just being with them, then it can be hard to identify them. It take a little bit of practice, right? But just keep trying that and see what happens, right? That's a good question. That one takes practice. All right, Sean says, letting go of the past, exactly what I'm working on this week. Going through years old files of sales of my artwork. Reminds me who bought my work, but bank deposits and sales slips is much too much to keep, but it makes me feel validated as an artist. Yeah, right? Yeah, so you're relying, this is a really good example, right? You're relying on those bills, those receipts to feel validated as an artist, right? Those pieces of paper, you think that they make you feel like I was an artist or I am an artist, right? Whereas you can just decide that for yourself, right? You don't need any piece of paper. You can just decide, this is who I am. Absolutely, heck yeah. I am an artist, right? And I don't need any proof, any external proof. I'm an artist because of who I am, right? You absolutely have the power to just decide that, right? That's a really good one. Okay, Brene Brown's new Atlas of the Heart is an atlas of all the emotions. Oh, I love it. Okay, I haven't read that yet. That sounds amazing. Okay, all right. Molly says, I pick the activity before setting the timer and then I'm not stuck. That's a good point. That's a good point. And then you know what you're gonna do. Love it, love it. All right, so that is what I have for you today. If you're in the membership, make sure you watch that training. If you haven't watched it in a while, it might be good to revisit it, all right? There's a worksheet and a video. It will walk you through processing your emotions, okay? And if you're not in the membership, take a little time, practice, see what it's like. Show yourself that you can sit through that emotion, and it will feel awful, if it's a really big one, it'll feel really awful, but I just want you to practice it and see what happens, and then notice that it can dissipate over time, and then you can go on about your business instead of having to run and hide from all of these awful, scary emotions. All right, you guys, that's what I have for you. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.